Hi everybody, my name is CJ with Aspect LED, and if you just scanned in looking for some installation instructions, trying to find out how you install your ultra-thin recessed lights, well, you've come to the right place. So let's go ahead and jump into the installation instructions. Okay, so there's a couple of things to keep in mind before you actually start an installation. Remember, if you are at all uncomfortable with this process, make sure to talk to a certified electrician or even hire one to do it for you. We don't want anybody messing around getting hurt with 120 volts. This is a serious installation, so if you're not comfortable with it, go ahead and talk to a certified electrician. Another thing to keep in mind if you are going to take on this process, make sure to look up your electrical code and that you're complying with all of the electrical code that is necessary for this kind of installation. The last thing to keep in mind is that when you're working with 120 volts or really any kind of lighting installation, is that you kill your power at the source before you start the installation. Everything can be done a lot safer. You can have a lot more confidence installing wires and different things like that, anything that you need when you turn off the power. So just go ahead and do that really quick, and then let's get back to the installation. Okay, just like any installation, we're gonna go ahead and need some tools. So of course, the first thing you're gonna need is your ultra thin recessed light, of course. But outside of that, you're gonna need a couple other things to make this go smoothly. The first thing you're gonna need a screwdriver, just in case. Some people like to use this for prying open stuff or unscrewing things, light switches, different things like that. You might need that along your way. You are gonna need a tape measure to measure where exactly all the lights are gonna go and make sure they're equally spaced, different things like that. Always wanna keep that in mind. You're gonna need some electrical cable. So this is of course gonna go to your main power source all the way to the junction box, which then goes to the light. We're gonna get into all that a little bit later, but you're gonna need some of this, of course, in order to make everything wire up properly and correctly. So the other thing you're gonna need is a jab saw. Some people like to use a drill as well if they have one, but really a jab saw is a really common way to do this kind of installation, to cut open the holes for your installation. You're gonna need some wire strippers to sometimes strip the wire from that electrical cable. Sometimes these wires come fully jacketed, and so you're gonna need to sometimes strip those off. So a good pair and a good sharp pair of wire strippers is really handy to have in an installation like this. And then one of the last things that you're gonna need is a pencil to draw out where you want those cut holes to be so that you can very clearly mark how big those cut holes need to be for your jab saw. So let's go ahead and jump further into the installation. So before we go ahead and start the unboxing of our ultra thin, I just want to say that for today's purposes, we're going to be using this demo wall. Of course, you're going to be usually doing this in your ceiling or something like that, working in kind of tight quarters maybe. But for this installation, we're just going to be using this demo wall with a recessed light already integrated into it. We're going to be cutting out a new hole, putting in the J-box. Everything that you're going to need to see is going to be right here. We can also see behind it, so to get a really good view of what's going on wiring-wise. And so that's what we're going to do for the purposes of this installation. But at any rate, let's go ahead and start the unboxing of this product. So go ahead, this is what the product's gonna look like when you get in the mail, and the recessed light is right there. So you take it out of the box right here, throw away the plastic, just like that. There is the product. We got ours in black, so really easy. This is the 6-point. Just underneath the light, you'll see the J-box, just like this right here. So once you have the box all opened and ready to go, don't throw the box out right away, because we're gonna go ahead and use the insert in the box as a cutout hole size. So go ahead and measure out where you want the lights to be in relation to the wall. We're just gonna be using our wall right here. Looks like we want the middle of our light to be at about 1 foot. I'm gonna go ahead and measure that, just like this, 1/8 inch, right there. And again, this is just for demonstration purposes, but you're gonna be usually mounting these on the ceiling, and you wanna make sure to measure out the proper space and distances of the wall, all that kind of stuff. But once you have that space and distance all measured out, you can go ahead and take your insert, put it right here on your ceiling or on your wall, and then you take your pencil and simply draw out where you want that hole to be. Just write it out like this. Just like that. Okay, let's go ahead and take our jab saw and go ahead and start cutting out a hole. Okay, so now the hole is cut, as you can see. So now after the hole is cut, we're gonna go ahead and reach through the hole and grab our wires that our licensed electrician should have already ran for us. And we're gonna reach and grab those right here. So again, your licensed electrician should have already ran your wires for you. And then we have our line and our neutral wire. So there you go, just like that. And those correspond perfectly with our J-box here. Let's go ahead and take a look at this J-box more closely. Let's see what it actually is. So at the top here, you have your output cable. This is what's gonna be connected to the ultra thin right here. Once everything is all set up, of course. Of course, right next to it, you have your color temperature indicator. These recessed lights come with the ability for the color temperature to be adjusted, so you can go ahead and cycle through those. If you look on either side, you have what's called knockout holes, and what you want to do there is knock out either side of those for the main electrical cable to run through so that you can make all your connections. Once you open up, you have, of course, connectors that come with the ultra thin J-box, and then you have 3 wires. You have your positive and negative lead, and then you have your ground wire. Of course, that just looks kind of like a bare wire, and we're gonna show you how to hook all that up. Always remember, before you go ahead and start to install your ultra thin, make sure to adjust the color temperature before you actually put it into your ceiling, locked away from, you know, all humanity. Go ahead and adjust your color temperature before you're ready to install, and make sure all of the other ultra thins that you have match the same color temperature that you want. You can change it later, but it creates a real pain if a few are off and then you have to take them out of your ceiling. Go ahead and adjust that color temperature before you install it. Okay, now before we go ahead and throw this into our wall or our ceiling lookalike right here, we're gonna go ahead and put in our wire clamp to comply with electrical code. So let's go ahead and use our screwdriver to put in a knockout hole right here. Just kind of push that right down like this. And then we're gonna put in our wire clamp. Should be little bits. You can get these at any sort of hardware store that you find any other kind of hardware components. So you're gonna go ahead and put this in, screw it in, very nice, simply and easily. All right, now that we have our cable clamp in, we can go ahead and start to wire this whole thing up. So we're gonna go ahead and grab our wire. Remember to deactivate the power before you touch any wires, and then just feed this wire through the cable clamp, and we're gonna tighten that down later. So again, our wires are totally deactivated now, and now we can match our colors. So your ground wire is, again, gonna go to your ground wire in your J-box and on the cable. Those are gonna get pushed in just like this. And then same thing with your white cable. And if you need to strip your wires, this is why we have that pair of wire strippers, so that we can actually strip our wires on our leads here so that we can actually have room to connect them. Okay, so our wires are stripped just like that. And then we're gonna take our push connectors and match the wires. So go ahead and match white to white, black to black, and everything should be very simple and straightforward from here. White to white. Perfect. And everything's just like that. And then before we go ahead and sneak it into the wall, let's go ahead and tighten down our cable clamp. Tighten it down right here so it's nice and secure, so there's no bare wires hitting any kind of sharp edge or anything like that. Everything's nice and safe, complies with electrical code, etc. Everything is nice and secure. Now we can go ahead and put it back into our wall. And now we have the lead right here that we can then take and screw right on to the connection. Now this is a 3-pin connection, and then it has a screwable locking mechanism that you can then put on. So go ahead and carefully match the pins and then screw them on so that that light isn't going anywhere and the connection's nice and solid. Perfect. And then once you're done with that, you can go ahead and place it into the cutout hole. So then what's nice about these is that they have adjustable clamps that all you do is just simply put it into the cutout hole, adjust the clamps, and then the clamp should hold with friction, should hold the light in place really easily. It's actually a really easy installation process. So let's go ahead and put one here, and we'll shove the other one back in there, just like that. Now that it's put into the wall, let's go ahead and turn it on, and there you go. Ultra bright, right? There you go, and just like that, nice warm 3000K color temperature, and it works great. We could even dim it down just like this if it's on a dimmer switch. These are perfectly compatible with all kinds of dimmer switches that you can also get here at Aspect LED. Thank you so much for joining us with this installation guide of Aspect LED. Always remember that if you're uncomfortable with this process at all, reach out to a certified electrician that can help you with this process. Always remember to reach out to our team of LED experts if you have any other questions relating to our products. And as always, make sure to like and light up that subscribe button.